Hello, everybody, viewers. Hope relentless efforts, and this program is a dedication to all the values and the hard work that you have been doing for us, not only through this bad times, but for over the years that you have been working hard through your education, academics, and I will not actually waste even a little bit of time. I will quickly give up our usual prelude, and before that, we'll quickly run our prelude as always. Uh, Good evening, all you panelists. It is such a pleasure to have all of you here. But before we really get on to it, I want to quickly give your introductions. Before that, as usual, a quick note about True Wealth. True Wealth is an integrative healthcare initiative guiding patients and healthy individuals to overcome their health concerns and manage self-help to reach the ultimate goal of holistic health and happiness. True Wealth aims to help you separate science from hype by sharing authentic knowledge and wisdom from the healthcare and nutrition stalwarts so you can make the right health and nutrition choices. It also desires to unleash the therapeutic role and potential of nutrition in curing and preventing diseases of today, which even modern medicine is unable to partly or completely treat. True Wealth's ultimate goal is to provide integrative and personalized health and nutrition advice to achieve health and happiness. Uh, a quick note, this live program is organized to get more information and guidance on health, nutrition, and fitness during lockdown and otherwise. The recommendations given by the speakers and participants cannot be treated as consultation. You can reach them on 982004839. You can also reach us on the same number if you would like to ask any questions or make any comments. You can also visit www.truewealth.in for both. Just a quick note that this program is not intended to provide any information on COVID-19 and related treatment. Rest is on your screen, so I'm going to quickly get on to introducing our esteemed panel, and we are very proud that all these great speakers here have gathered and they are a part of True Wealth. Introducing Dr. Shripad Bodas, starting from the seniors. He's of course MBBS, MS fellowship. He has fellowship of Association of Indian Surgeons, fellowship of the International College of Surgeons, also the Indian Association of Gastrointestinal Endosurgeons. States, and of course the American College of Gastroenterology he's a fellow of. He has more than 30 years of experience of exclusive gastrointestinal practice, endoscopy, and laparoscopic surgery. He is the founder member of the Gastrointestinal Foundation of Thane, that is GIFT, and he's a prolific teacher actually, and teaches at CMA very extensively. That was a brief note. Dr. Girija Wagh, who will be joining us soon also, has about 3 decades of experience, especially in normal and high-risk obstetrics gynecology, IVF fertility treatment, diet control, PCOS, procedures of fertility promoting, laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgeries. She's MD obstetrics and gynecology, has a diploma in advanced gynecological endoscopy. She's also the fellow of the Indian College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, fellow of the Indian College of Surgeons. She's consultant at Cloud9 Apollo Hospitals, professor at the Bharati Hospital as well as consultant there, and she runs her own nursing home in Pune, which is Girija Hospital, and infertility clinic. She is the chairman of the Medical Disorders Committee, FOGSI, and is a staunch feminist and believes in empowering women through health. We have Dr. Nitin Patankar. He's MD, General Medicine and Community Medicine. Again, has about 4 decades of experience. He's director at the Wisdom Diabetes and Yoga Clinic. He's consultant diabetologist and obesity at Jupiter Hospital, Thane. He's consultant to pharma companies for developing nutraceutical products with India-specific needs. He's also a prolific writer, speaker, working on diabetes reversal, writes in leading newspapers regularly. He's known to simplify scientific knowledge for people to understand it better. Dr. Satish Kamath. He is MS in DNB, fellowship diploma conferred by the Association of the Colon and Rectal Surgeons of India. He is the cancer specialist and surgeon, and he's extensively trained at the Tata Memorial Hospital and is practicing cancer management in Thane and around areas for more than 2 decades. He's president of the Gastrointestinal Foundation, Thane, and he believes in treating the patients and not the disease with holistic approach and empathy. Dr. Ashish Arbat is MS Ortho from KEM College, Mumbai, MCH Ortho from Royal College of Surgeons, UK. He's one of the first 3D robotic joint replacement surgeons in Western India. He's the faculty for UK MCH Ortho course. MCH Ortho course, and of course he has training from the Princeton University under Dr. Jeff Abrams, and he's been the first Indian fellow under Dr. Sugaya, Dr. S. Sugaya in shoulder and elbow arthroscopy. So many international degrees that he has. He's also associated with the IPL Gujarat, Pro Kabaddi League, India, and Pune Wrestling Federation. He is the consultant orthopedic surgeon at Jahangir Hospital, Pune Aditi Hospital, Mulund, Robi Clinic, Kalyan, and Curio Hospital, Thane. So multiple places he practices in. We of course have Dr. Patil, who has, along with everyone, they all have been doing extensive education on our channel, and Dr. Hemant Patil is MBBS DNB diploma in minimal access surgery with 13 years of experience, fellow of Indian Association of Gastrointestinal Endosurgeons, World Laparoscopy Center as well. He has a fellowships from. He has done his master's course in proctology from CMAST. He is the fellowship. He has the fellowship of International College of Surgeons, and currently he's the director of Vignaartha Laparoscopic Center, Thane. He's secretary of the Surgical Society of Thane, and he's practicing at multiple places like Jupiter Hospital, Kaushalya, Aditi, Bethany, Cure, Thane Healthcare Center, Madhu Hospital, and many others actually. We have lastly, but not the least, Dr. Sharad Deshmukh. He's the director and consultant gastroenterologist at the Medilive Hospital in Nashik. He's DNB gastroenterology and hepatology. He has done a course in liver transplant hepatology at the Medanta Hospital. He's also trained at the Apollo Hospital, Chennai, and he has acquired training in pediatric gastroenterology at SDPGI. He has acquired training in ERCP, EUS, and also in advanced endoscopy at the Bardota Institute of Gastroenterology, Mumbai, and at the Tata Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. So you can see that our esteemed faculty is, if all put together, is 100 raised to 100, because with all the expertise and experience that they have, it is such a pleasure to have all of them with us. And I don't know, but how are you all feeling? It's Doctors' Day today, and it's been a different time. So if any one of you would like to express your thoughts, and then I think I'm going to put you some questions which are different from the usual bit which you normally answer, or technical questions and medical questions. Would anyone want to comment?
Well, I would say something. It's always you always feel really good, wonderful. When some day is dedicated to your profession, and especially people wish you. I'm very happy to share. I must have at least received maybe 150, 200 wishes from my patients individually on my WhatsApp, and I've been struggling to reply to everybody. So it is, but it's a very good feeling. But well, I believe that doctors keep on working, and they are dedicated to the service to the society. So irrespective of which day and what day of the year, I'm sure all doctor panel member here
Yes.
would agree with me that we would just continue, and we would just love to serve. And if the question is asked, what do you want to become in your next janam? I'm sure every one of us is going to say, yes, I would like to become a doctor. So it's a wonderful thing. We should actually thank our parents who inspired us to become a doctor. I think that is one thing that I would like to say, that we are what we are just because of them. So I think it would be a good gesture from all of us if we remember our parents, our teachers, those who held our hands and taught us, and we have learned the skill of surgery, and we have been doing surgeries, we have been doing endoscopies. It's a lovely thing, and I'm sure all of us will agree. We all are really very happy to be doctors. That's for sure. Rajeshri.
Yes. Ask you questions because yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Doctors' Day, and it's also a Chartered Accountant Day. So Health and Wealth Day today.
Even agricultural day, sir. Even there is an agricultural day today.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. So
our name True Wealth is very apt, because it means well and wealth.
Health and Wealth. Yes. So happy True Wealth Day. Okay. So just any prayer thing, we always start with the prayer. So I would just like to say a physician's prayer, which I always say when we start a day or anything.
Yes.
So this goes like this.
Yes.
Dear Lord, thou great physician, I kneel before thee, since every good and perfect gift must come from thee. I pray that you give skill to my hand, clear vision to my mind, to kindness and sympathy to my heart, and strength to my body. I pray that I will always realize that being a physician is a privilege and honor. With the simple faith of a child, I will rely on thee. Thank you very much. I would say that we as doctors believe in this, that like Shripad already said, because of our parents, we became doctors, and we have been given the gift of being in between to serve humanity. I always remember a joke which was always told to me. I'm going to start with lighten up the matter a bit. It is said that you should never angry God, because if you make God angry, he sends you to the doctor. And the part 2 is, if you make doctor angry, so be careful where he will send you.
Okay, so on that dedicative and funny note, I think it's a brilliant way to start, and taking blessings of course, our parents. I think it's a great way to start the show. And I would, in fact, my first of my questions really were to both panelists who already spoke, and I think somewhere sort of they already answered it, that, purpose, I think, is something which is a very deep word. And, and then of course I will go to Dr. Wag on the word perseverance, really, So what does really purpose mean to? I know if Dr. Bodas and Dr. Kamath would want to take that up, and if anyone else, because purpose is something which probably has gotten all of you here, is what I believe, and from what I know all of you. Would you like to comment anything on it?
You're asking me?
Any of you can take it.
Okay. I think if you're talking of perseverance,
Yeah.
I think nobody can be as perseverant as an obstetrician who waits for hours together for the woman first to become pregnant and then to deliver a baby. And then to listen to her history for a long period of time, where even the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, everybody will be there in the history.
Yes, yes.
And the second thing is the purpose. I feel, there are some, Stephen Covey has mentioned in one of his books, and that actually explains it all up. There are 4 L's of our existence in this world. One of them is life, where live, like we have to live life because we are born here, and we have to make most of that living. The second L is love. You have to have love for various things. You should love your family, love yourself, love your work, and love so many other things. The third would be learn, and the learning process never ends. I feel in the past, we used to change our practices every 5 years or 10 years. Today, we are changing our practices every 6 months. And that is our progress of learning, which is going on and on. And the fourth most important component, which keeps us going, is the legacy. We have to keep the legacy of humanity and worthiness going. It's not about only legacy of medicine. Today, when I say that I am a very good endoscopic surgeon or an excellent obstetrician, this is a legacy of so many others, of my seniors, who have learned, made mistakes, returned, and today I am the result of that. And this legacy has to continue further to my profession. I am not here talking about the legacy to my family or my children or whatever. Here I am talking the legacy to the profession. And that probably is the reason why we all are still sticking on here, because we always keep on feeling that my best is yet to come. And that best keeps on coming every time that we see a new challenge or a new patient in front of us. I hope that explains.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. I mean, loved the else that you mentioned, and I think that it comes. It's sort of heart to heart with women. So I can identify with it totally. But anyone else, of course, each of us have been here due to a purpose. Would anyone want to comment on the same again?
Well, I would say purpose of being a doctor. It's very obvious and very realistically speaking. When someone is not well, someone is not happy, someone is sick, someone is having some disease, there cannot be any bigger pleasure than giving him a relief or giving him a cure.
Yeah.
And that is why people keep on saying, doctor, you are like a god to us. What you're like so and so to us. Why do they say that? It's not just it just comes out of their mind, because that is what at that moment of time they think, that other than God, only this person saved me. So I think for that one moment, or for that one moment of happiness, I'm willing to take whatever efforts, whatever number of hours that I have to do the hard work. I would go miles to do that, just for that one moment. And I think that is probably the only purpose of being a doctor. And people talk about the money that a doctor earns, but well,
Yes.
who doesn't earn? Who doesn't
Yes.
earn? Everybody earns.
Yes.
But my way of looking at it is, it shouldn't be your aim. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be your motto. It
Yeah.
should be a byproduct.
Yeah.
It would just come. It should just come. And it does come.
Yes.
I can tell you from my 3 decades of my practice, I really did not ever struggle really to earn money. Money kept on coming. Only thing is, you have to keep on performing. You have to keep on excelling. You have to keep on doing better and better and better till you achieve your best. As Girija said, the best is yet to come. And all of us believe that. So I think that serves the purpose of being a doctor. That's my feeling.
So, does Ashish and Hemant agree on that? Because we're probably the maybe 2 decades or at least 15 years down.
The practical
than them.
current generation. The practical current generation.
I didn't want to say that. I was trying to be politically.
And then I'm reminded that I am 3 decades in practice. Where am I now?
I'll start with my own, as Dr. Bodas said, never my parents told me to become a doctor. But I'll just tell a funny part why I became a surgeon. Most of the times I used to see movies that some bullet injury hits to a hero and the surgeon comes up, he puts on, and they showed a red gloves and all, he puts up the bullet into the kidney tray, and the next day
hand like this.
next day everything is okay. So that passion was like, hey, surgeon is a good thing. I never thought of only doctor. I always built up, I should be a surgeon who will treat it like a reward things. So if at all I do a surgery, patient gets cured. So that is the biggest reward. So I am not doing any comments on physicians or somebody else, but surgery gives us that pleasure that somebody comes with you with a problem and you detect that problem which is their inside body and you treat them and you bring them back to the normal life. So that pleasure is a totally different one. So always becoming a surgeon was that thing that I should do something which will give 100% results. So that was the aim of that time. And I'm happy with last 13, 14 years, whatever I am doing. As sir and madam always say, best is yet to come. And madam says every 6 months. As a junior, I am still learning that every 3 months there is something changed. Some new instrument comes up, some new practitioner comes up. Even you can see the guidelines changes everything. So there are new drugs coming to market. So you have
COVID guidelines are changing every week.
Every day. Every day. Government guidelines to be at least every day. So you have to be updated with your knowledge. No doubt you have to be good in your skills. You have to excel whatever the field you are in, and then give it to the best of your ability to the patient, so that they should be pain-free, they should be disease-free. So that pleasure, as Dr. Bodas says, there's no one can match that pleasure. That one patient coming out with an acute abdomen and going home with a stylish hand and waving up to you that thank you, doctor. So that is a great pleasure.
So Dr. Ashish,
it's my turn.
It's your turn, and I was going to ask you.
And I think I would put it very.
Okay. I was going to ask you a question though on the same
practical way, and like Madam said, our generation very realistic. Purpose.
Like that because of us.
Yes, ma'am. And I would see whatever I am because of my teachers, whatever it is. So my purpose, point one, I had options of going both to engineering and medicine. And practical, I'm talking very practical is, I said the ultimate, I come from a very religious background. The ultimate truth of life is death. And in that moment, in that time, whatever is that is life. So I have to choose a profession. Point one, purpose is which can add value to life. The best profession that adds value to life is medical profession. And second thing, it's the only profession where you love what you do and earn money. There was no other profession where I saw myself where you love what you do and earn money with it. See, there are other professions where they do their work, but are they loving it? Is the company giving them the right thing to do? I don't think so. Here, what you are achieving two things. It gives a complete fulfillment. You do what you love and get paid for it or whatever it is. And second thing, I come from a small town. I always wanted to I go with the MS Dhoni philosophy that if I can do, there were a lot of boys and girls who will watching me back down कि ये कर सकता है तो हम भी कर सकते हैं. That was one purpose. My mother couldn't take education, so I lived through her. I did it for her, and I told her, "Mummy, मेरे प्रोफेशन में माझ्या प्रोफेशन मध्ये जे काही लास्ट डिग्री असेल तोपर्यंत मी गप्प बसणार नाही." And I did my MCH FRCS. उसके बाद डिग्री नहीं आती होती, I would have taken it, and अभी भी आएगी तो I will take, and I'll dedicate to my mother. Because she couldn't do at that times where women were not allowed to take education. She's no more. And sadly, my dad has undergone an angioplasty right now. I'm sitting there.
But that's also, again, you're relieved because of the medical
So my
profession and your
purpose was to
friends.
show, to become somebody like Rahul Dravid or Rafael Nadal. You cannot create Sachin Tendulkars and Roger Federers, but yes, you can create Ashish Herberts, because we are hardworking, non-talented people, and from a humble, very, very humble background. If I can do it, a lot of boys and girls come to me कि sir मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. I come from a small town. कुछ जरूरत नहीं. If MS Dhoni can do it, I can do it. You can also do it. That's my purpose.
Great, great, absolutely. And I think it's all coming out straight from your heart right now, because especially past 2 to 3 days have been tough for you, but we are happy everything's going well. And so I was in fact going to ask you the same question as to when was the time when it dawned to maybe any of you can again take the question that to reduce disease burden. It's like this is something which is a philosophy which may or may not dawn to all of us, because we get into professions because we like it and we enjoy it, just as you, Ashish. It was probably like that. But there is some point in time that, we all start realizing that we are into this and we need to take it forward. Would anyone want to comment on, the purpose sort of changing its goalposts and, going from loving your job to actually, or is it always that it has dawned to you that reducing disease burden is something you always wanted to do?
If I can add, Rajeshri, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Again, coming to the mythology, my part. Now, Madam is Brahma. She creates something.
Yeah.
And there are some people in the cancer world or something. They are the Shivas of our industry, and we are the Vishnus. We Hemant, we jo kuch hai, we maintain it. So if I can get to become a part of being Vishnu, that might be a very good purpose to add value to life. In that life, we can save some limbs, we can replace, make them walk, we can have the cancers out, we can have endoscopies done to remove stones. And so Madam there sitting is Brahma, and we are all some part of the Vishnu element of the life. And of course, we can add value to life. I think that's one of the mythological purpose. I like what I'm doing. Quality of life.
Yeah, Ashish, I absolutely agree with you. Before I continue, I'm going to tell you one more small event. See, when I did my MBBS, after MBBS in internship, we went to Matheran. All of us before starting our MS thingy. And a lot of my friends were there. So everyone used to get someone on the way. Arey, your dad is a pediatrician. He treated me. Your mom is a gynecologist. He delivered me. And there was everyone except for a cancer specialist there. So I said, no, this should not happen. Even the cancer specialist should be recognized there. So
sir, you are Mahadev.
No. So, but basic aim was strive hard and see that patients of cancer also recover, and they also go to Matheran, Mahabaleshwar, every place. And when you reach there, they also recognize you. And very frankly, with technical advances today, not only patients are surviving, but they are, like you said, organ preserving. We are preserving voice, we are preserving rectums, we are preserving breast and everything, and people are leading a absolutely normal life. And disease burden wise, definitely, I'll tell you very frankly, I'm a very staunch anti-tobacco, and that is something which we should advocate. I always tell my people that I'm ready to change my profession if tobacco is gone. I don't mind taking up something else, because if tobacco is gone, 50% of the cancer burden may just go away. And I think that one thing COVID has done for us at the moment, tobacco burden and spitting on the road has hopefully reduced, and that continues.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you've said that, and I think I mean a couple of things I would want to share about a few of you, and I think you all can add more. Is you have been extensively doing patient programs, and every year you conduct one to sort of show the success of reducing the disease burden really. And of course, then we have Dr. Girija Wagh, who is also been running initiatives, and one initiative we've started together is to eradicate PCOS. So it's one very nasty disease which has caught us, gripped us, and it's going to grip our generations, and then it's going to leave us with not only PCOS but also diabetes, and it's going to rampantly spread. It's already rampantly spreading, and we have Dr. Bodas, and who I think he doesn't always talk a lot, and I am sure as patients, if they're listening, they might not be knowing so much, but he's done extensive work on the Rotary front, and he's worked with the authorities, government authorities as well, in designing big campaigns with the Rotary. So I think if you all want to share that, and of course later Hemant and Nash shall come to you after that. But if you want to share anything on it.
Well, it would be a pleasure to share. I mean, as all of you know, Rotary is a wonderful international organization, and you get a chance to, work as a cohesive unit or as a cohesive force. What you can do individually can just be multiplied when you do it through an organization. So and Rotary has a lot of intellectual people from different vocations. So obviously Rotary insists on good planning, good execution, and then all projects are basically result oriented. But the question only asked is how many really got benefited. So it is, and whether that was the need of that society. So we don't do a project which we want to do. No, we do the things what society wants us to do. So that's a very big philosophy of Rotary, that they should be need-based projects. And as a doctor, I can tell you, we can contribute immensely. And yesterday, our Dr. Sandeep Kadam from Thane, a renowned pediatrician, got installed at 12 midnight yesterday as a district governor. And the chief guest was Shekhar Mehta, who is the incoming Rotary International president. And the outgoing governor was Dr. Mohan Chandavarkar. The sitting governor is Dr. Sandeep Kadam. And the next incoming governor is Dr. Mayuresh Warke from Ambernath. Now, Shirish just, in a lighter vein asked, is it necessary to be a doctor to become the governor of this district? Because all doctors are becoming the governors of this district. But I think it probably is a outcome of their commitment and their virtues and values and their job that they do. Like Dr. Mayuresh Warke is a renowned orthopedic surgeon, and he has done maximum polio surgeries, and he has received the highest award of Rotary International for doing polio corrective surgeries. And that he could do because he is a doctor. He could do because he is an orthopedic surgeon. So I think on the platform of Rotary, as a doctor, you get a tremendous opportunity and a chance to perform. So I think that is what I have to say about the association between a doctor and a Rotary International.
On that note, sir, today I got a award from your Rotary, Pune.
Wonderful.
Today, just right now. I just got it on email.
Hey.
You said it and I got it.
So we have one more orthopedician following the footsteps, and go ahead. Great. I saw Wagh madam probably going into a trance. I don't know what she was really, probably dreaming into the next vision. Maybe I don't know what she was thinking, but I think I would also want both of you to share some of these missions you've already taken forth, and ma'am also does a lot of work on the association front. So, if you would like to share, ma'am, the scientific initiatives that you
one more thing I want to say as a continuation to what Sir said just now was, as doctors, not only do we get opportunities, but I think we also evolve tremendously as human beings. We look at death with a distance. And I think that is what is the purpose of human living, that finally you have to learn to be as detached as possible. And being a doctor gives us this opportunity. It first helps us in getting into these kind of acts with our patients, and then you can extrapolate them into your own relationships. For the last 5 years, my father is suffering from dementia. And the best of my friends in my life is not there. Actually, physically he's there, but he's not there for me. But it has taught me, just because I'm a doctor, I can see that I have a better response to this eventuality than the rest of my siblings who are not medicals. And that helps because you understand the magnanimity of, the morbidities and the mortality and the purposes of everything. You cannot be God, and you cannot change, probably, you cannot change the incidence or, reduce the disease burden, but you can definitely modify a better life for people. And that is the reason why our purpose is definitely, and we have to continue to contribute because new challenges keep on coming. Polycystic ovarian syndrome was my dissertation topic, where in 3 years at Sassoon, I could not get even 25 cases. Today, my every third patient is a PCOD. So you can see there is a change. There is a constant change. Likewise, sir must be experiencing cancer, orthopedics, physicians, surgeons are having different experiences. As far as my organizational associations are concerned, when I was a very young practitioner, like a lecturer, I used to be associated with that Shastri madam's unit in Karve Nagar, and I used to go with one lawyer, madam herself, and I as a diet advisor and a healthcare sort of an advisor, and we used to take lectures for Anganwadi workers. We used to go on one jeep on a Sunday. I don't know what was the purpose of doing this. Pan karte rehne ka. It used to be an opportunity. We used to do that. Then gradually I went into the Gynecological Society, and then I became a very sort of a center person or a important person kind of a thing in the Federation of Obstetric Gynec Societies of India, which is the world's biggest organization with 35,000 or more members who are single specialty members. And we have very huge activities, from doing advocacy to the government of India, to improvising healthcare facilities, having a lot of social work which we do, educational, academic and research works. Today itself, Foxy is promoting in a huge way organ donation campaign on the occasion of 1st of July. I'll be sharing that with you on this group, and all of us are going to pledge our organs for this particular purpose, and that is a big act. Through Foxy, we got opportunities of doing, I am a coordinator of the National Eclampsia Registry, and that's how my interest in pre-eclampsia or hypertensive disorders of pregnancy started increasing, wherein I am also a member of a very worldwide national world organization, Justosis, wherein we do research, education about this disorder. In front of my eyes, in the last 3 decades, I've seen it evolve to the present thing that we are talking about. Secondly, I realized that PCOD and metabolic abnormalities, environmental disruptors, are the reasons which are actually destroying womanhood. According to me, they are disrupting womanhood. And therefore, I decided to associate with you, Rajeshri. This has been for a long time. It was my dissertation topic, but always I used to wonder what to do. And you gave me that opportunity. For me, it's not any big work or a small work or a recognition or a talia which anybody gives.
Yeah.
It is only that at the end of the day, I feel that, okay, today I did something which was productive. Like being here with people discussing about these things. Ashish has given a wonderful insight to me by trying to get an analogy of spiritual part and component of dividing our faculties into different ways. Sir, Dr. Boda sir has brought out a different aspect to what he was saying. And it is so nice to be a part of this team, and therefore I don't feel any regrets. I canceled my OPD today. I said I have to be in the forum because I wanted to share this. Somewhere you don't enjoy any parties anymore. You don't go for any conferences. This is where we must sit and talk, and that is going to help us, I felt. And thank you so much for this forum.
Well, I absolutely thank you, and thank you, ma'am, and thank all of you for being here. And the words that you said, I think that was the purpose of this session today, and it's achieved, by you just saying that. And I think, but I would still want to extract some more information, which I want people whom you're treating to know. So much of noble work that you all are doing. So that definitely needs to come out. And another aspect which all of you, and which you mentioned, madam, right now, and which is the reason why we associated, is again the integrative management of diseases, because the type of diseases have changed. Even though today we are sitting at home with an infection, everyone along with the infection is speculating that comorbidities is the biggest speculation in, and also immunity. So we are again going back to ourselves being well from within. So that's where the integrative management of diseases comes up as a most evident thing, and all of you have been practicing it. So I know all you three senior people have been doing it, but I would throw that question to probably Ashish, because I know he's one person again. We both really started working on this very actively, and the seed really got sowed out there. So if you would want to say a few things, and then I would want Hemant also to add on it.
Yeah, Rajeshri, considering our profession, like say example, I talk to my ligament injury people, when they are into sports or a lot of these kabaddi guys and all, they come ki sir surgery karaichi, and you have to do this and that, and right from Srikanth Zadav to Zahir Khan, all have been a part of my medical life. But I feel disease is an iceberg. Why I always tell them, you don't think why the ligament broke, you should think why it broke also. There are incidences when people are getting up from the table and the bed and they have fractures and ligament injuries. In COVID times, I've operated 2 injuries where they just got up from the chair, and because of the weight, the ACL gave up. Now, understanding the disease is a part of disease is just not, it's an iceberg. So there is something before it, there is something antecedent to it, there is something in it, and then is something after it. So that's where me and Rajeshri started, that post-operative is also one period where people have to be really telling, Abhi, right now one shoulder is torn, what about the other shoulder? What about the other muscles? Why should we have the injury in the first place? And there where this integrative thing has started is prevention is always better than cure. And that's what has been the latest thing apart. Like we see in cricket, initially lot of injuries used to happen, but since the age of Virat Kohli's and these gang, where they are so focused on not getting injured, and it starts with the proper diet, it starts with proper body fitness, and 80% of which is focused on preventive. So and that is why these guys are playing so much, and they are not getting injured, and they are doing so many records. And in the evening you see the same guys walking out with their spouses, heroines, and whatever. Initially if you see in cricket and a lot of other sports, once the game was over, they used to go and go smoke, drink, or whatever. Now even if you see IPL, the first thing when the players come in, 1.5 hour nobody can meet them, because in the first, once they come in, they get a cold shower. After that, they have compulsory massage, every player. Then they go in a hot shower. Then they have a programmed diet, what they eat, and then they go and meet their spouses. That has changed the complete course of football, cricket, even tennis. If you see any of these players, say once Novak Djokovic won against Rafael Nadal for in Australian Open, and he was asked what happened this time, because you couldn't fight this gladiator. He said, "I stopped my bread." His family comes with the bread makers, and that is one message, that the right diet, you can go from number 3 to number 1, and that's what we are telling. So disease itself, it's not to cure that particular ailment, it's prevention after it, and also conserving it. So for me, integrative has been a big part of our work, Rajeshri. Lot of work we are doing, especially in the post-operative, and all of us been talking about it a lot. We have created a conservative joint group, and a lot of stuff is going on. Prevention, treatment, and after treatment is the 3 parts of integrative treatment.
Would anyone want to add on the same front? Because I think it's a program, a mission that again we have started, and it is really showing so much of results. We with Madam, we are starting a PCOD OPD every Saturday now. So trying to eradicate PCOS as one disease, but it goes up to infertility, and also helping people lose weight, curb their diabetes, and so many other things that are linked up. Would anyone want to also add to that? Because I know Dr. Kamath also, as a cancer specialist, needs to do a lot in it. Also, Hemant, if you want to add anything.
I definitely have to tell all my patients to avoid a lot of food like junk food, the quick fix meals, burgers, and all that, and reduce the content of red meat. Take more of liquids, water, and all intake properly so that they have less side effects and all that. In a lighter note, I tell everyone today you should eat food like a medicine. Today you should eat food like a medicine, or after some years you'll have to take medicine like a food.
Yeah.
So that you take care of your nutrition today, take care of your health today. Exercise, that is another part. It is a must. Yesterday's your meeting was fabulous. I loved it. Rajashri, the talk on how to live a longer life.
Yeah.
And exercise and nutrition are two important bases where I think we can have a better quality of life and hopefully longevity also. Even in COVID scenario now, the first and foremost important thing which is coming up is simple vitamin C and zinc and
Yes.
vitamin D. These three components, if you are taking properly, you have a better survival rate compared to those who are lacking in these three.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it boils down to nutrition, which will affect your body in the mega and in the microscopic level.
Yeah. So I think we also have Dr. Bodas here, who has really very actively fought the disease. So, we absolutely have a COVID warrior here, and he's back into action. So yeah, a big clap on that, and he's back into action like every time. So he's super busy again with a lot of things. So would you want to also share something on the integrative front, and of course, if any of that really did good to you through your battle of COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. I kept that saying in my various videos that were made when we had one Facebook live together, and then there was another YouTube interview which was taken by Marathi Srushti, where I kept on saying and insisting. Everybody asked me, I mean, did you just sail through, or you were bothered? I mean, what were your problems when you faced COVID? I said challenges. I never ever thought even for a moment that कि अपना गाड़ी फंस जाएगा. I never ever thought so, because I was so confident about my physical fitness. I was so confident about my mental fitness that okay, this is just another viral infection. And the background to your physical fitness again is what all of us, all the panelists have been saying, is nutrition and your diet. It's very, very critical, very, very important. And all this put together boils down to a good physical health. And I keep on saying
Correct.
that physical health and mental health are two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You have to maintain both to fight the COVID infection successfully. You will be surprised, after I started practicing back after the COVID, I am seeing at least 2 or 3 senior citizens not able to cope up with this COVID times. They are not meeting their friends. They are not, going out in the park. They are missing. I mean, one gentleman came to me who is 75, and he says there's nothing else to do. I keep on looking at my wife, and she keeps on looking at me. There's nothing much to do. So to keep yourself mentally fit and mentally active is also another very, very important aspect. And I believe they complement each other, the physical and the mental fitness. So I firmly believe in a good diet, healthy diet. Keep your weight under control, keep your comorbidities under control, and I'm sure and as all the doctors here would agree, that luckily our mortality rate is much lower than the mortality rate which is seen in the other countries. Now, why is it so? There's nothing different in India, but probably we are better equipped. We have a better family support. We have a better mental support, and that actually helps you to fight COVID. I mean, recently one of the senior person who fought COVID, he said his wife was brought to the next bed on the ICCU, in the ICCU, and he was not doing well, and he said, what will I answer my son? when I go back, what will I answer my son? Did I lose my wife and his mother to COVID disease? No, I have to fight. And he fought the battle on that mental strength. Not only that, the wife also fought the battle. Now, what was the strong point of the whole thing? Their bonding with their son. So I think this is what we are lucky to be born in India, where there is a strong family structure, where there is a strong mental bonding. So I would
Bodas,
definitely say.
I have one question
sure.
for Bodas, sir.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Sir, now all of us are into health working and we don't know what this COVID is going to. Now everybody says that we have fought through it, and I'm happy that. But is it anywhere reported that somebody with this kind of exposure, to the front line, has reinfected, and does one-time COVID give you the red passport?
No. I fully see you are actually denying the basic medical fact that if you define COVID as a virus, or if you define corona as a virus, once you develop the immunity, you don't get measles again, you don't get pox again, and the examples are really very rare. So once you get a viral infection, once you develop a good immunity, antibodies, why one should get infected again? Now there were certain reports from Wuhan which came early in the COVID times, but then they later on clarified that either they were fallacious reports done on the PCR, or probably the wrong interpretation of the test. Now suppose if after the 14th day, if my COVID test is positive, what does that mean? The protein of the coronavirus is interpreted in the test, right? Now, if that coronavirus is, even if it is dead, the corona protein is interpreted. Yeah. So, and the corona positive patient tends to excrete coronavirus almost for 1 or 2 months in his excreta. The coronavirus could be found in the stools of a corona positive patient even after a month. So probably it's a fallacious test and a wrong interpretation of the test, rather than we getting worried that whether I would get the infection back. Of course, I'm practicing now, but I'm taking all the care. I'm wearing the mask, I'm keeping the distance, I'm doing the hand sanitization, but obviously I'm mentally definitely more free than probably what I was earlier.
And sir, the new antibody test, there are a couple of things, and if you have those antibodies positive, does it mean that you are a bit immune, better than others? And should we do it? Should all of us do it?
I would not recommend doing a antibody titer in all of us, but obviously, I mean, IgG and IgM, right? I mean, these are the antibodies which are being tested right now, and virus. So, but I would not say that all of us should go through the antibody testing.
And why I ask this question is this common, engineer friends of yours are very non-medicos, and a very, very close friend of mine got it in Chennai, very close friend. And today is my 14th day and I am free tomorrow, mask ke bina ghumunga. He called me yesterday for that. He said, let me ask, are you doing the right thing?
No, I would.
He's like, now I fought it, and like I've been through it, and it's like madam, he's feeling like a delivery. Abhi ho gaya, and then I have twins. Abhi twins ho gaya, second child.
Okay. कुछ खत्म नहीं होता, शुरू हो जाता है.
After getting twins.
There is always a postpartum period, 42 days.
I think almost all the moms.
It's a lifelong issue we have to deal with. Don't worry.
Including my wife or my mom or everybody, every woman says ना कि twins हो जाते थे, एक बार में खत्म हो जाता था. I think so many women say that. So is it so? We are again. We can have that risk at our answer is viral load. That day, what interview you are talking?
Okay, I am going to.
One last question.
Okay, yeah. Don't want to make this
because people are going to ask this, Rajeshri. Should we start antiviral on the first positive test, like the interview you're adding where he said, the great doctor.
But I think on that note, I don't mind doing a special session on corona, and I will do that.
Especially
I
for
will
the
do it soon.
frontline
Sure.
guys,
Yes, I will. I'm ready to do that because we have panelists. We are trying to get people from CDC and from the US, one of the very leading infection specialists.
Rajesh Reddy is changing every week. Should we talk to them?
No. So that's okay. But
Madam
we'll
added it every day कुछ नया है.
we'll at least get good insights from at least 4 or 5 people who are from different walks, and I'm trying to get also physicians from here. So if we can do that, then we have all of us as panelists. I will definitely do that as an effort. Hemant, did you want to add on COVID or something else?
Yeah, I just want to speak about that question about reinfection. There are few cases in Thane as well.
Okay.
They have been discharged from the hospital. They have been quarantined for at home. This is one of my friend only. They are quarantined from home. They have been sitting at home for 14 days, but they got reinfected. I'm telling reinfected. It is not that false positive or false negative was there. They were after discharge quarantined for 14 days.
Well, I think we'll take this on a separate.
Readmitted.
We'll take this on a separate session, Hemant. And I do have an answer. I do have an answer. I do have an answer for it.
The antibody. If you are doing an antibody, it should be IgG. IgG will tell you that you are already fought.
Okay.
IgM will be ongoing infection.
I'm going back to our topic.
Listen to Mahesh.
I have a question now for Dr. Sharad Deshmukh. We kept missing him and he's back with us. We were discussing on the integrative management of disease front, and I know ever since you have started your new setup, which is a fabulous setup in Nashik, and people here, of course, in Mumbai, Pune, or otherwise in the larger cities might be thinking Nashik is just a place, but we know the state of art hospital that you've built there, and you also believe in this concept of integrative management.
Have you been to Sula Wines ever? All those wineries. Nashik is not a small place.
Madam, madam has already told it to me 3 times. अभी तो madam के साथ ही जाएगा.
Okay, so
3 times she has told me.
Dr. Deshmukh, would you want to share?
I invite you all.
Yeah, we were waiting to hear that.
Wine might protect us also, protect us from the virus.
Yeah, and their numbers also are lesser compared to us. So,
is it?
Would you want to share, Dr. Deshmukh, how it has been, how you believe in the integrative disease management concept, and we were discussing that just now.
Yeah. I'm a first in my family to become a doctor.
Okay.
So, basically, why I turned to be gastroenterologist because my father had a liver cirrhosis. So, and then I decided that I become a gastroenterologist. And then I luckily had my education in Apollo Chennai, where I got exposure to transplant and everything. So, so my focus was liver transplant, and along with the general gastroenterology practice. And in North India, North Maharashtra, there was no one setup of gastroenterology. Gastroenterology is like 200 square feet endoscopy room, and that's it. So I decided that though I started my practice in 2015-16, I decided that there should be one gastroenterology setup in Nashik, where along with the advanced endoscopy, there will be liver transplant clinic and all the things. The patient should be guided properly. So in last 3 years, we almost did 30-40 liver transplants. Out of that, first liver transplant in Nashik, cadaver, which was done in Apollo Hospital, and I was the gastroenterologist. So 2 liver transplant we did, and then later on in Mumbai, Pune, with the associate teams, we did many liver transplant, including liver. So in my setup, the advantage of integrated having an integrated setup of your own is that you can, as all you are talking, that we can do social service also. You can help people, and even if they don't have money, financially poor. So all these advantages, if you have an integrated setup of your own or your doctor colleague, and there is no corporate people involved in managing the finance, so you can do justice to a poor patient also.
Yeah, That's a noble thought again, and that you are actually being able to execute that is great to know really. So I would now ask Hemant really, so through all this, we've been talking, and I will also go back to the treating patient thing, but before that, who really and what really has influenced you or inspired you, because we have one of your teachers here, which is Dr. Wagh, was one of your college teachers, and then we do have Dr. Bodas and Dr. Kamath, who you've also been learning a lot from. So I think the question is right posed to you, that what has been the influential thing, which we also spoke in the beginning, but who are those gurus that you can actually probably remember and refer to?
See, if at all I want to take few numbers, so it is a long list. That is, I have been inspired by so many people in different fields. The thing is that, as I told you, it was a passion to become a surgeon. So even my MBBS days, my colleagues used to call me surgeon at that time, MBBS time. Yeah, I used to do lots of things. But the first thing, in MBBS time, there was one surgeon in Pune, Dr. Sudhir Kothari. So I was a second year student of MBBS, and that time I used to go to his own place, because our Bharti is in Katras, and in Dankaudi his hospital was there. So I used to go to his hospital. I used to attend his OPDs. I used to do OTs with him, assist him. Then I used to, we have got, Bharti was attached to few hospitals like Jahangir, and then Kamla Nehru hospitals, and then Ruby Hospital. So there, the Shashank Shah was there, Dr. Puntambekar was there. So I used, Dr. Kasbekar was there. There's so many surgeons there. So since second year, I was bunking my college. I'm telling in front of ma'am. I was bunking my lectures, and I used to attend the OTs throughout the day, except the practicals the day I come to that. So there are so many people in my MBBS times who has inspired to become a surgeon. There are, when I came to Mumbai, there was few surgeons whom I adore a lot of, like Dr. S.K. Bansari is no more. Right? He was from Bichkendi. He is the operating surgeon of Amitabh Bachchan at the time of Coolie. So he was a very dedicated person. At the age of 78 also, he used to take rounds. He used to operate 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night. Then he used to call up for the rounds. So dedication and passion, two things I have learned so many things from him. Then I have been inspired by previously I used to have thought of I should do an onco. So I was been Dr. Jagannath and Dr. Raman Deshpande, Jain Kulkarni, and an Asian Institute of Oncology. So I did 1 year of oncology, and then suddenly I heard of Dr. Palani Velu, Dr. Chobe, that they are doing good work in laparoscopy. So I left out my onco, and then I gone to Gangaram Hospital with Dr. Chobe to take my laparoscopic training. So there I met Dr. Chobe, his team, then Dr. R.K. Mishra for World Laparoscopy Hospital. Then I came back again. Then there are so many people. Then
so that they did influence what you should get into as well,
the thing
on
is
the path, right?
Yeah, the way they practice, like Dr. Temton Ude, I work with him in CMAST also. I work in Candy also. The thing is that now I have learned so many things from them. So one, dedication and passionate. Then how to work. There was influence in the sense that not only for surgical excellence, the way of approach to a patient, the way of approach to talk to the relatives, the way of dealing with difficult situations, the way of taking help of others if you are in a bad situation, or mentally prepared, or think of so many things pre and post also. So influential is not about the technique on the surgical aspect, the thing of living a life also. Then I told these are the things which are came to me from a good surgeon. Then how to behave with your colleagues and all. Then I came to Thane when I joined in a GIFT, Gastrointestinal Foundation Thane. So there I know that how Dr. Bodas speaks to me, how Dr. Kamath speaks to me. I'm too junior, but they never, I always ask, sir. Dr. Bodas always tells me every time, don't call me sir. Hey, you call me Raju, like that. So the approach to your juniors, to make everybody incorporate in your things. So there should not be a difference of senior, juniors, or something like that. So the influence is of so many people. I am the secretary of Thana Surgical Society, though starting from H.S. Bhanushali sir, when I was doing my DNB, so I worked with him. So till now, my colleagues and even my juniors also, there's so many things to learn about. If you think of the panelists also, I'm very much impressed by Ashish because he is so disciplined and focused. So there's so many things to like Madam is my UG teacher, but she has got that lack of.
I'm going to give, because you mentioned something which is
So many
interesting.
things.
I
But the
want to
two
put a
things is very much important is passion and dedication. So apart from the learning skills, two things I have learned from everybody.
So on that point, I want to ask one question to Dr. Kamath first, and then Dr. Bodas. Dr. Kamath, so did you also get influenced on the path? Did anyone influence you to get into the cancer surgeries, or was it your decision completely?
Definitely going into cancer was a big step for me.
Yes,
Very frankly, in my MS days, cancer management was pathetic. Let's be very frank. We were taught how to manage. We knew textbook wise how to manage, but the survival rate was really bad.
Yeah.
And going into oncology was कुछ और नहीं मिल रहा है तो उधर चलो. That was the thing at that time.
Wow.
But then, luckily, I saw a lot of patients at that time who were operated in Tata and all who had survived for a long time. And then I got into Tata. And once I got into Tata, I realized, boss, there is much more. It is not such a pessimistic disease. It is what you first thing I realized is respect the disease. Don't be a hero. You don't think that you are a surgeon. Like Hemant said, he put his hand in and removed the bullet into the kidney tray and the next day patient was good. That's not true. There are a lot of science behind it. Where to put the hand, what is not to be injured, when to put the hand, what all support you require. That is all to be, it's a holistic approach to cancer management. It is not just surgery, the chemotherapy part, radiation part, nutrition part, yoga part, all that comes into play when only then there is success and you can progress with good things in life. One very important thing I realized both from my MS days and in Tata. My MS days, I had the greatest honor to be with Dr. Acharya. He taught me a lot of good things. And to first and foremost, be simple and humble. No matter how much the patient and the relatives shout at you, remember that they are in trouble. They have not come here for a picnic. They have not come here to enjoy their meal. They are suffering. So you just understand that suffering and try to alleviate the suffering. It is said that a small smile and a positive attitude of the doctor can also make the patient half the illness or whatever you call it better. And I think that is very, very important. They are in trouble, especially in oncology. I get a lot of depressing things. 50% of my patients are stage 4. Half of the time, in 10 minutes, I have to tell them, I'm really sorry, I can't do anything. You should have not done this. You should have come earlier or whatever. But this is very important. You should have empathy. Respect the disease. Don't be heroic that I can do this, that. And what I learned was when not to operate. It is not when to operate, it is when not to operate. That is the first thing I realized. No matter, see, I am skillful to do it. I have all the technology to do it. But still, respect the disease, see what happens, and then only proceed according to the same. Nowadays, very important, this is important because of Googleitis. With Googleitis, patient is looking down, answering questions, asking questions, reading the Google, and then they give you marks. Yes, 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks. Oh, you got good marks, sir. All answers were correct.
So, and but go ahead.
That is where they tell, I have come for a Bipples. I have come with PLR. Boss, take it easy. I am not here just by reading one book or something like that. You can't do 10 minutes.
Correct.
What we have learned with my gray hair. So this is where things are changing now. The modern generation, which is so-called evidence-based medicine, is really good. But I would say we should add a little bit of practice and empathy-based medicine also to the same. Thank you.
So I think I wanted to comment on that, especially like you said, you should understand the patients and their relatives. I want to make a small reference here, and I can never forget those times that you were with us. You were not even treating my father directly, but I still remember the sentence. And when we were putting this program together, that was a point that was going to be discussed. You said we have to treat the patient and not the disease. I can still remember it. You had said that 5 years ago, but I can. It still rings in my ears, and so truly said that you knew how to even treat me, as we knew my father was suffering out of it. So having said that, that's the compassion that sort of resonates with and makes patients and their relatives trust you more. So absolutely a great learning that you shared. And before I get to talk to Ashish, because he's raised his hand, but this point I really wanted to complete on the empathy and the compassion. Yeah, go ahead. No, Ashish, go ahead.
Sir added Googleitis. I think, sir, we are from Pune.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Madam is also. And I actually won't believe, when I was in the US, I really took training to how to talk to these Googleitis.
Correct.
I went to a lot of my whole friend circle is engineers. So I sat down कि तुम लोग को क्या सुनने का है? Then one of my very, very close friends, he's into internet vigilance now, very close friend of mine, he said, you just tell them, बेटा तू वो जहाँ लिखा है ना, वो मैंने लिखा है. Google पे जो लिखा है, मैंने लिखा है. अभी बोल. And once you have to prove you're better than them, and then they fall at your feet.
Yeah.
So like something the juniors can tell the seniors is, sir, show them you don't get angry. You said, sir, beta आपने जो पढ़ा है ना, हमने लिखा है.
So I think that is exactly what
like
we are
in the
trying
mafia world in Bombay. I'm from Dadar, so how people used to talk कि तू जिस गली में घूमता है ना, उसका टाइल्स हम लोग ने लगाया है भाई.
So I think that's exactly.
Sir. Then, and second thing, sir, I have one analogy. I took it from the US.
So Ashish, let me comment, and then you go to your next point.
Yeah.
So I think through just an addition to what you're saying is like that exactly is what True Wealth is doing. That they're trying to get that Googleitis out and put our videos on the wall and say, what, that was said by us. So, I think educating with the authentic knowledge, I think all of us have been actively doing, and all your efforts. I mean, you all have been doing it. I've just been facilitating.
And Rajashri, why I talk so confidently? I had written complete shoulder examination thing for Government of Scotland in 2007.
Yeah.
So मेरा तू जा लिख, Government of Scotland has accepted me in Google. So I am a Google. I am before you there. So and I learned an analogy from my teacher Jeff Abrams in the US when this kind of Google guys used to come. He says, how much does the fastest man on earth take for running?
Mm-hmm.
So I just forgot his name. What is his name? The fastest guy who's Hemant कौन था वो? The fastest guy. Usain Bolt. Sorry. So Usain Bolt, how much is it charges? Then the Google guy tells you, sir, 120 million for one run. Then he says, sit down, my friend. It is not 120 million. How many seconds he runs? He says 12 seconds.
9 seconds.
9 seconds, 12 seconds. So 1 million per second? Yes, sir. No, my friend. It is those 17 years of without shoes running in that poor country, no food, no proteins, blisters on his legs, all that. So he's put that everything in this 12 minutes, and I'm going to put that in the surgery in those 40 minutes. And that's what we are charging. And touch wood, I'm one of the highest paid, highest paid guys here. And I've been very proudly charging. A lot of my bosses told me, I hate the industry where.
So Ashish, why don't you add on, what do you do exactly to stay technically so ahead? Because, robotics, there is so much going on in orthopedics all the time. Any special effort that you have to take to stay ahead?
I would always.
Dr. Deshmukh, we would also like to know that from you later.
Robotics, Rajashri, two things made me do this. One is I always thank Dr. Taral Nagda, who caught my collar when we were working very hard to write his emails in KEM. We used to hate him for that. First internet of KEM and first computer of KEM. And we used to say, sir, kya hai? Nahi data leak, UK ja. And that time, in the second post we started, we never knew A, B, C, D of computers. And there was one time in my lecturer's post, when before going to the UK, I had got a call from the department, कि यार छह computers hang हो गए. It is exactly 3 years after that. Before I touched my computer, I never knew anything about it. आशीष को बोला, it is hanged. And I went all the way 13 floors laughing. And I called sir, ki sir, today I am being called because system of KEM is hanged. And I feel if you read Yuval Noah Harari, it's a great book. I keep on reading him multiple times. Every time you read him, it's a new thing. Lessons for the 21st century. In the 21st century, Rajeshri, the thing that is going, or the world that is going, and the gods that would be, is technology. Biotech is the new language. Biotech, in terms of anything, technology in terms of anything. It can be, it's not just computers or anything. Lifestyle, thinking, changes in the genetics, everything. The future is biotech and technology. And my philosophy of Prabhu Shri Krishna, again I'll come back to, is Yugandhar. He says in Gita, if you don't accept the change will accept you. You will be finished. I don't want to be Bhishma. I have to be Krishna. I have to accept the changes every time in the right way. And if technology is there, and I cannot be resistant to it, if I become resistant, I become Bhishma, and the whole Lord will kill him myself. I have to become Arjuna. I have to learn every day. If there are Brahmastra, I have to learn it. I have to learn Brahmastra. How can I take it back and send it? I cannot be Ashwathama also. So a lot of my philosophy comes from my early teachings of Gita, that you have to embrace the change, Yugandhar.
That's great. That's great. So on this, I want to request all of you to be a little precise because we don't have too much of time.
And
we
that's
will
why
have to wind up this.
my robot came into picture, where we are designing a robot. And
okay,
I feel robotics is going to stay. I'm an avid pusher for robotics. We have been approached Narendra Modi for our new robot, and you know how much work we are doing on it.
Yes,
Add to it, we are making the first 3D based robot, which will be completely made in India. Because the horrendous prices that the American robots are costing, and we don't want to buy Chinese robots. So if God blesses, and all my teachers, all my seniors bless, so we can, and that is
we
one
absolutely
of the reasons,
wish you luck, and we have been supporting you into it.
I have been taken as a faculty at this age at my university in UK, which confirmation came just 2 weeks back that I will be a regular faculty for technologies in medicine, in the terms of robotics, in most of the fields. So why not make a Da Vinci or a Ni3 Viz in India? And that is what we are working on. And it is Yugandhar, Rajeshri. Let us get the Brahmastra back.
So I know I'm rushing all of you because we don't have too much of time, with just another 15 minutes to go. If you all can be a little precise in the next few questions, we can actually discuss more points, is what I'm trying to do. But Dr. Deshmukh, would you also want to add to share, how you sort of stay updated with all the techniques, because especially you being in Nashik, people here could envision you. You're not in a very big city, but then we know that the techniques that you're using, and we did one of the conferences also with which we supported your efforts, is you all have been doing so many things. So if you can share that with us.
The basic thing comes, I belong to a farmer basically, but the basic, I did my MBBS in KEM hospital.
We are not able to see you.
Hello?
1 second. I don't think we are able to see you. That's the only problem. Now we can see you. Yeah, go ahead.
I did my MBBS. My family background is basically, my father is farmer. So I took admission in KEM hospital for MBBS. Then by seeing people like Dr. Medekar, all big names in KEM hospital, so then automatically your thought process changes, and you try to copy them. You try to become like your teachers around. And then after my MD, my luck is that I worked in Chennai Corporate Hospital, Chennai Apollo Hospital, where there was many gastroenterologists, 10 to 12 people working under one roof in a smooth way, without any chaos, and they're doing tremendously good work. So whenever, though I'm working in Nashik city, my aim was to provide similar service and which can be given at Nasik. So basically, it is the teachers who inspire you to work, and the corporate setups where I worked, I already has seen how they work, how they plan, how they conduct conferences. So I decided that I will conduct a national endoscopy live conference first time in North Maharashtra. So I approached you people, Dr. Mahdev, and all my team. We found a for North Maharashtra Gastroenterology Society, and then in my new setup after inauguration, within 2-3 months, we conducted a national meeting, which was a big success.
Yeah.
And people appreciated it so nicely that they said that if such a meeting started happening in Nasik, we don't have to go to Pune, Bombay to attend such meetings.
Yeah. So amazing work that, right from Ashish, trying to design a robot himself is such a big achievement to, you trying to take academics from all over the country and from the best places to your town and city rather. It's such a commendable work from all the fronts. A few questions there, though we can actually now go back because even Hemant has been now, he's a secretary of an association. So all of them are really taking education and academia to. Each of us is actually working on the education and academia front. I would lastly, I think there are a couple of questions. There are actually quite a few comments also, which I quickly share with you. You can of course take a look at it later, but a lot of them have actually congratulated you. Said happy Doctors Day. A lot of people have been watching through this program, and it's just amazing to see that people want to listen into the kind of work you have been doing. So last couple of questions, one of course on the front that I will want to first address to the woman here. It's when Dr. Kamath of course spoke about compassion, but compassion and courage, I think compassion sort of comes a little easier maybe for we women, but I think we also get troubled by it because we are absorbing a lot out of our patients. So how do you sort of detach yourself, still help them through, and at the same time, as a woman, you would have had to go through a lot of hurdles. One can only imagine. So how, if you would like to share some of these, some of your stories, or how some which will sort of inspire a lot many women to get into this profession.
So basically, I would suggest Rajeshri, for all women is that it's extremely important that we understand and keep some man as a role model in this man's world. If you want to become a professional, or even in your family life, always look up to some man. It can be your own father, it can be your husband, it can be your brother. So these men, they have a very peculiar way of thinking.
Yes.
They have very clear-cut thinking. Their brain is made up of boxes. They keep things properly segregated there. They may not keep their wardrobes clean, but their brain is very sound. While women have everything wired, everything is connected to everything else. You understand? And that they also lose the connection.
Complicated,
So first of all, if you have to lead your life with confidence, you must first stop losing your self-esteem. The society, the entire world, your social situation, first and foremost, makes you extremely guilty. You're always guilt-ridden. Constantly, you're guilty for everything. Not cooking food, for cooking food. For cooking, looking after children, not looking after children. As and how your time goes by, and usually, especially in a social setting in an Indian context, women in their transition phase from 28 to 35 suffered the maximum because they have come from a protected environment. They want to exhibit themselves as some professional. They have to also balance the family, and they are all confused. Our roles in the family, in the society have not yet changed so much, but somewhere we will have to initiate that change, and therefore we have to be strong. We have to feel less guilty. We have to think like how men think, because that is the best thing. And never forget, I always tell this to my patients and my friends, who look up to me for advice, is the karyotype in a woman is XX, while in a man it is XY. There's one exact arm which is missing there.
Yeah.
So that is probably determines our empathy, compassion, and we must channelize this empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
If I decide to tell you my stories, Rajeshri, this forum is not enough. So we will not go into those stories. Okay.
Well, before I jump into our last few questions, I want all of you to think about 2 words, and the last couple of questions that I'm going to ask you, try to answer it in a minute so that we cover most outcomes out of it. So 2 words which are sort of very important to you when you think about the current healthcare and the future. I would want you can give a 1-minute answer as to what you think is the future of healthcare, and what aspects do you think are going to be extremely important, while and 2 most important words for you which you would say as your values, which could actually sort of represent you. So if these 2 questions, if you keep your answers ready, I'm actually going to go with the last question to Dr. Bodas, and because also Hemant mentioned earlier that how you make people comfortable, and because you have also you have been one of the founders of one of the gastrointestinal societies, which does incredible amount of academic work, which of course Dr. Kamath is the president of right now. So how do you see academia? Because I know you have, and I'm going to mention my father here also, because quite a few years, I think 3 decades back, when you were probably my age, and I think he was probably your age, and you all enjoyed doing such great academia at that point. So you have traversed a big time zone in terms of probably the most that people have on the academia front. So what would you sort of give as an advice to people, and if there's anything specific you want to share from the academia front, because people want to get into conferences and different things, they get diverted at times, they're not successful. So what's that chronological way of actually doing it, really? You're muted. Yeah,
Your question is
very big.
more complex than the answer.
Yes.
The answer is very simple. Actually, medicine is a science which keeps on evolving.
Yeah.
All right. So when you are dealing with, or when you are in a field where the science is evolving, just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, and be like a sponge, and just keep on absorbing all good things that you see. Keep on absorbing all good things that your teachers do, your seniors do, and then you are one day going to become good. So it is not about books, it is not about conferences, it is not about reading articles on the net. It is being a sponge.
Yeah.
That is what I believe.
Yeah.
So academia is very simple. Be like a sponge. The knowledge is everywhere in different branches, different fields, different professions. You should be a good learner and good listener. Then probably things are easy. Academia and the big words, no. It's be simple, keep it simple, and things will just happen good for you.
Great. So today's session, I think we probably not realized, but we are more than, of course, an hour and a half beyond, and we covered such great words, though they are big, and as simple as Dr. Bodas just mentioned, is purpose, perseverance, reducing disease burden, treating patients, not the disease, using integrative management techniques, ecosystem-based approaches, and I hope viewers realize that there is so much, and so much that has been going into making of these such great doctors. It's not just the academia and education, but so many values really that have brought them up to here. different kind of experiences. You know, we had a program the other day, Ashish was on it, you know, how do we fight adversities, you know, and they have fought adversities more than any of us, right from getting an admission to, you know, doing their entire education is such a painful process. It's a lengthy process. They have to study long hours than any of us, and then they have to go through internships, and they are only getting incredibly difficult. They have gone through, of course, you know, having their own setups, like, you know, Dr. Sharad Deshmukh has a new one now. Dr. Patil also has a setup. Dr. Kamath has been running his setup for a long time. Dr. Wagh is now transitioning her setup into more lifestyle, and Dr. Bodas also in these times of COVID has transitioned into so many different aspects right now. So we know that, and then of course Dr. Ashish is just, you know, ahead of the curve, trying to develop a robo along with the extensive busy schedule that he has with his surgeries in so many places. So see the amount of multifaceted doctors that we have, and this program really was to appreciate all this of that they do, you know, and through that, being a woman trying to manage everything is another very big appreciated thing. When it comes to Dr. Wagh, I'm not taking the credit of it, but we'll end this program with those two value words that you have, and what each of you think, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, you think will be the future of healthcare, or what you want the future of healthcare to be. Any of you can start. I don't mind.
I would just say, like Bodas sir said, educate, 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 keep on educating. It is said that when you're driving, there is a learning mode, L-E earning, and when you remove the L, earning starts. But
Yes.
in our sake, I would say we never remove the L, because like Yugantar, you remove the L, you are in trouble. Your earning also stops. So you have to keep the L as a doctor throughout your life. And not only in medical field, like Raju said, holistic approach. You cannot just be only doctor, doctor, doctor. You have to have non-medical friends. You should know how to play golf or basketball, cricket, chess, sing songs, be the life of a party. All that is also important, not just stick to cancer, 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 and cancer. And secondly, from my personal cancer point of view, I would just say, like my hospital named Asha. Always have Asha, always have hope that you will do well, you will succeed. Never give up on your Asha. You should always have Asha. And one small joke before I leave, one of my friend was, he told me this. He went to operating table and the patient was very nervous and all. His friend started saying, Raju, डर मत सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Raju, डर मत सब ठीक हो जाएगा. So the patient gets less nervous and says, वो सब तो ठीक है सर, लेकिन मेरा नाम राजू नहीं है. हाँ, लेकिन मेरा नाम तो राजू है ना. This was not for Raju Bodas, sir.
Okay, who would like to go next? Okay, go ahead, Himran.
Yeah, I earlier also told 2 words for anything to achieve. 2 words is very important. One is your passion, and second is your discipline. It starts from gaining your academics. It starts from losing your weight to get to a 0 figure. If you want to be athletic, what has to be achieved, like from Milkha Singh to Fogart sisters, or everywhere, like Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli, passion is important, and second thing is dedication. And what about is our field is that learn what the time has tested you, or what are the seniors, then according to new concept, unlearn that techniques and relearn the new which is coming up. So this is a phase that learning, unlearning, and relearn. So you have to be a learner all the time. That will give you a good thing.
Yeah. Dr. Bodas, I will probably want you to end it. You and Dr. Wagh probably can end it. I think that Dr. Deshmukh and then Dr. Ashish speak about that. Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Deshmukh. I know we couldn't give you too many questions. Unfortunately, we were not having you on the panel, but it was great to hear from you.
We should always think positive. Now about our medical field, many people say that this should not be the field of choice. Many people even in a WhatsApp group, our age group of 35 to 40, all these people say that no, why we become a doctor. So you are already working as a doctor and you yourself start talking bad about your field is not. So whatever work you are doing, you should talk at least good about it, and you should be positive. Many times when I have started my doing my setup as a single handed, many people said that is it possible, how can you will do it, and the relative will, there are many problems, the patients are nowadays not behaving properly with the doctor staff, legal issues, everything. You should start taking responsibilities. Unless and until you start taking responsibilities, you will not learn it, and you will not go ahead. Then the other option is that you start working in a corporate where they will not give you freedom, your thinking process they will halt, and then once you pass certain age you can't come out of it. You will be a lion in a cage. So they will take all your freedom. So I think we should start taking responsibilities, face the actual situation in a society, and start talking good about our profession at least, and
That
start
is,
what we are doing.
the people might not realize, but for him to say that, think positive, and he's really courageous, I can say that, because he has a new setup which is very recent, and someone to say that in these times, yeah, it takes a lot of courage. That's really great, Dr. Deshmukh. Dr. Albert, Dr. Ashish, what would you like to
Two
share?
words.
Two words about your values, and one of course telling us what do you think is the
Uh,
future for healthcare.
yeah, not healthcare. Like that day during the survival talks, what I
Yeah,
learned from England. Every country you learn something. Whenever I'm in doubt, or whenever, see, I don't. I'm not. Every time you're not married to your profession. You are a human being first, and you have to have multifaceted things. You should have, not to carry that label of a doctor everywhere. In my school friends, I'm just that Ashu, that small boy who used to be, get bullied during football or whatever. But I think one word from England has made my life very clear, very simple. Like Madam said, it's a box, Madam. It is. I've gone through her session. Nice, nice session she gave to somebody. I was just listening, and for me, every time any doubts, I just have two words which the British say: have you made history? Are you going to make history out of this? So good decision, bad decision, how it is going to be written in the history books, that is what drives me. If I have to leave, there has to be some legacy history behind me, and that makes me all many of the times to take the right decisions.
yeah,
And I think everybody should ask, if they are in a dilemma, am I going to make history out of this? It can be anyways. You can be the negative or positive, but have you made history? You can be Achilles or you can be Shivaji Maharaj, but history is very important for me, my
yeah.
philosophy.
Great. That's a great thing, and I know you're consistent with it. You've been saying that a lot of times. Again, takes a lot of effort to do that. Yeah, in any which ways, I think. Madam, I think I'll request you, and I'm keeping Dr. Bodas at the end. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I know you have to go to the next session, but Dr. Wag, that one vision statement which you have written down, and I can say one thing, that you're so much corporate in so many ways. That I think that's probably what influences a lot of people also, especially like me. So I read through it and every word, and like I said to you, we should keep reading our own mission statement so they don't let us fall apart. And if you want to say anything about it, or whatever,
I think you can share that mission statement if you feel. But what I
Yeah.
wanted to say was you have to be very accountable at every step that you do. The two words that you asked me to say about were, one is constant and regular updation, and the second word is accountability. You
Yeah.
have to be accountable for everything that you do, you think, you practice. And for my patients, I would want to say that, especially as women patients, it's your responsibility to contribute to the health of the society. So when you're making children, it has to be a very conscious decision, because you have to be optimized in your health to create a future healthy society. Making children, or everything that you are doing as an obstetrician and as a neonatologist, or as women themselves at the center of everything, They are creating the future healthy society. While we are saying India ashit se, Bharat asat se, Bharat tasat se, we have to create it. And when I speak to the students of medicine or otherwise students at large or anybody, I want to say that we have to be very mindful. You have to be constantly learning how to think correctly. We have been taught about everything. How does a woman who is coming from a Mufassil place know that on blue jeans she can wear a red t-shirt? Well, generations before her, they never wore those kind of clothes. Then she got this information from somewhere. Why can't you find information that proteins come from these sources and they don't come from apple or tomatoes? So these are simple, simple things. Today, the human race in a documented way is existing for 2020. We are in June, 2020 is gone by. So many years of human existence, we have to evolve. And the onus cannot always be taken only by the doctor. It has to be taken by all the stakeholders involved into this. And thank you, Rajeshri, for putting up my mission statement. I've been working on it for the past 7 years. I keep on revisiting it every 6 months and, modifying it over a period of time.
Great. Yeah, I think it means a lot to me. So I just wanted to display that for a little bit. I don't want to share it. I know it's your personal mission statement, but if people can do that, it is amazing. And I have done that in the past. So I know, I really know what that means. And I hope you and me probably can do that more to more women. And if they can put their mission statements together, it is going to be much easier for them to, take their lives forward. And of course, Dr. Bodas, I would of course want you to sort of end this session with your thinking and thoughts.
The two words that you want me to say, it's very difficult to keep, your all philosophy of life in 2 words. But I would put them simple. I would say that it is commitment and empathy. Now, recently in this COVID times, sort of I had become a COVID, expert as far as even treatment was concerned. So people kept on calling me and asking me, sir, aisa ho gaya, my COVID test has come positive. What should I take? I kept on telling them what I took, and I recommended even some allopathic medicines as well as some Ayurvedic medicines. So some people ask me, sir, do you practice Ayurveda or allopathy? I told them I practice allopathy with empathy. So, at first they did not understand what I was saying, but I told them, look, my approach is open. I am basically concerned for your feelings. I want you to be all right. Whether I give you Ayurvedic medicines, understand my purpose. Don't go by my specialty. So if Ayurvedic medicine is useful, is helpful, it should be given. So I would say very simple, just commitment to your profession, commitment to your family, commitment to your friends, commitment everywhere. I think once you are committed, I think rest everything falls into the place, and you will achieve what you have aimed for if you are committed. And of course, then the second word I said is empathy. So if you have empathy, I think your job is done. So I would say that. Back to you.
Great. So I would close this session. It was can't express more gratitude. It will how much ever words I say, it will be less. The fact that you are with us, and if this is the team who is treating the people, true wealth or anything beyond it is, patients should expect anything beyond it.
Rajeshri,
yes, sir. Yeah.
I would just like to say, I think all we doctors would say, किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है.
So I want to be born a woman and a doctor, a woman's doctor. Again, if I am reborn.
Yes,
super.
Definitely. All of it.
So we started with live, love, learn, and we sort of ended the session with we are ending with hope, health, and happiness for everyone and for all of you. Because unless until you are healthy and happy, we all can't be healthy and happy. So wishing you hope, health, and happiness in your profession and for your family. And I think we would end this session on that note. And thank you very much, viewers. You were, this topic is not technical. You are not going to gain anything maybe out of this, but still, so many of you sticked around for all these more than 1.5 hours with us. That itself means so much for us. Thank you so much. Looking forward with our more sessions coming up. Today we have an IMA function coming up, which also you can be a part of at 7 p.m. And this whole week we are going to get you Doctor Day celebrations with different kind of talks. So stay tuned for it. Thank you so much.